The Pittsburgh Steelers are reeling after 2 straight losses, and general manager OMAR needs to act at the trade deadline. The Steelers have one very obvious need at wide receiver, where the team still doesn't have an adequate number 2 receiver for Aaron Rodgers behind DK Metcalf. Cornerback and safety are 2 other positions that could use a boost. Pittsburgh's trio of Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., and Darius Slay has been terrible, and the injury to Deshaun Elliott leaves Pittsburgh with a massive void at safety. When asked about the Steelers' trade deadline plans on Tuesday, head coach Mike Tomlin did not mince words. He expects his team to be a buyer ahead of November 4th. "I think we're always open for business," Tomlin said, "particularly as we get close to the trade deadline. We're always buyers. We're always trying to position ourselves to be the best that we can be this year." But that not only applies to the secondary that you asked about. I'm sure that applies to all 3 phrases. Wide receiver is probably the most likely position to get an upgrade. Several reports suggest the Steelers are working the phones trying to get something done. The 3 teams that appear to be most aggressively pursuing a wide receiver before the deadline are the Pittsburgh Steelers, Buffalo Bills, and Denver Broncos, according to sources. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported over the weekend. As bad as things are at cornerback, it's hard to imagine the Steelers making a big addition there, and if anything, it'll likely be a small one. After all, Pittsburgh already has a ton invested in the group. Not only did Pittsburgh trade for Ramsey and sign Slay in free agency, the team also inked Brandon Echols, who looks set to have a big role before Ramsey was acquired. By the way, Echols hasn't been any great shakes either. The Steelers are still decently stocked at safety with Jabril Peppers, Juan Thornhill, and Chuck Clark, and chances are there won't be a better option available at the trade deadline. Like cornerback, we'd expect a minor move, at best at safety. Why does Aaron Rodgers take such a vested interest in developing his wide receivers? Seems obvious. But it is part of leadership, as Rodgers explained after discussing the improvements made recently by Roman Wilson. The second-year receiver caught his first NFL touchdown pass last Sunday night during a career-high 4-catch, 74-yard performance against the Green Bay Packers. Wilson's offensive output led all Steelers that night. Rodgers said he sensed a big game coming from Wilson the previous week. "I told him last Wednesday, it's going to be your week this week. Just kind of a feeling," Rodgers said. And then Thursday, he had his best practice of the season. Even in that, there were still 3 or 4 real coachable moments. "So I told Ro, I've liked him since the first time we got to know each other out in Malibu, and I told him back then I'm going to coach you to your potential and not to what I'm seeing. So I'm going to hold him to a high standard, and I was really proud of him in the game for the couple of reaction plays that he made. We just need to see consistency from him. But it starts in practice, and I thought Thursday was a really good practice for him, and today he had another nice practice." Rodgers passed deep to Wilson early against the Packers. The 2 combined for an impromptu reaction, 45-yard reception on a 3rd, and 3 play that flipped the field on the Steelers' first possession. A penalty and sack caused the Steelers to settle for a field goal, but Wilson put the ball in the end zone in the 4th quarter with a nifty catch of a 21-yard Rodgers laser in the end zone. Rodgers said he doesn't like to throw to receivers who, I haven't seen consistently, make the plays I'm expecting him to make. And that's why seeing Wilson last week enjoying his best practice gave the QB such confidence. What does Rodgers believe constitutes a good practice? Every play is watched from practice, so it's the attention to detail on the routes, he said. I think that's sometimes lost. You might, even in a game situation, get so enamored with what a guy's doing who's around the ball, getting targeted, but a lot of times things that happen in the succeeding weeks are because of things you've seen on film, on the backside of plays where a guy's not getting the ball, and you see the detail and the craft in the routes. The other day, he got the ball, on Thursday, on a number of plays, and that was positive. But there were some other routes on the backside when he didn't get the ball where you started to see some of the craft show up, some of the detail in the routes that gives you confidence that you can trust. And so that's what it is. Also, there were some correctable things. But I really like his attitude. I think of all the guys who we expected to make an impact starting the season, especially him and Pat Freiermuth, and not get off to the most explosive starts, but to never once have a negative day, energy-wise, attitude-wise, is a credit to both of those guys. I'm really proud of both of them. After a slow start, Wilson's 4-74-1 day against the Packers gave him 8 catches for 110 yards and the touchdown as the 2024 third-round pick gains steam this season. Does Rodgers have similar words of wisdom for a team that finds itself in a 2-game funk? "You've got to stay the course," Rodgers said. "We lost a tough one in Cincy on a short week, and then we played a good football team and had many chances to get things going. We were up 16-7 at half. Our defense playing well. Offensively, we've done a good job ending some halves with points, but I'm not sure we scored on the first possession of the second half, and when you're deferring and you're expecting to have a chance to double up, so to speak, that's what changes the game, the middle 8 of the game. We haven't played well in the second 4. The 4-3 Pittsburgh Steelers are coming off a 35-25 Week 8 loss to the Green Bay Packers, and while many pundits and fans might be concerned about their defensive output, Aaron Rodgers and the team's offense could receive an addition before the November 4th trade deadline. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, the Steelers may be interested in Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Jakobi Meyers. Teams I've talked to believe that Meyers has a decent chance to be dealt, possibly the best chance among available wide receivers. Las Vegas has received interest in the 7-year veteran, and my sense is the Raiders want a strong pick for Meyers. "A swap of day 3 picks won't do at this stage," Fowler wrote. Several teams are believed to be in the receiver market, most notably the Steelers and possibly the Broncos and Bills. Meyers clearly wants out, and the Raiders are in a transitional phase. They just signed veteran Tyler Lockett, which could ease the loss of dealing Meyers. Pittsburgh is keeping tabs on this one, but is prepared to be patient too. If I had to predict a destination right now, I'd say the Steelers. The Georgia native has 29 receptions for 329 yards this season with the Raiders. Across his 7-year career with the Raiders and New England Patriots, the 28-year-old has collected 422 receptions for 1,921 receiving yards and 20 touchdowns. Meyers has publicly stated his desire to be traded and has not wavered on this stance over the past few weeks. "I've got no control over that. If I'm here, I'm here," Meyers told Ryan McFadden of ESPN earlier this month. "Oh, for sure," he added when asked if he still wants to be traded. "But I'm a professional at the end of the day. I'm just trying to play good football." It remains to be seen if the Steelers will make a serious push for Meyers ahead of the deadline.